Hello, hello, hello.
Find yourself.
Good morning, everyone. This is going to be a dramatic shift in my life. This is going to force a response in some shape or form from the world. Whether it's silence, and it just means that I have to go back to a crappy micromanaged sales job or work at a warehouse, or this pans out and I have impact, I have legacy, I can help people be happier, smile, make more money, do better in life, in whatever shape or form they define that. So there's a lot on the line here, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way. When there's no risk involved, you have no skin in the game, it's not fun. And life should be fun. If it's not, we need to find out how to make it fun. How do you make your life more enjoyable? I would say is a better way of phrasing what I'm trying to get across. Eliminate things that you would consider problems in your life. Do an audit. Be like, what areas in my life could be better? My dogs could be better trained. Our dishwasher broke and we haven't replaced it yet, so we're having to wash our dishes by hand. Like, maybe we should replace it. But do we have the extra money right now to do so? Eliminate the problems that you experience daily first. Our car was a used car and has a lot of issues and so constantly breaking down, so we don't feel safe driving it and taking it on road trips, but we have to drive a lot. So maybe we should think about how to solve the car problem. So you strategically, methodically target these things that you use every day, that you experience every day. We don't have hot water in our house, but we shower every day. Okay, well, maybe we should fix that, right? Like, whatever it is to you, that is what you need to fix. And for the people who are avoiding it, I get it. Hey, I feel constantly sick, stressed, suicidal, depressed, down. Maybe I should work on my mental health. Maybe I should work on my physical health. Like, those are real problems. No, I'm just gonna go to the bar and drink with my friends and complain about our husbands or wives. Before you can get started on major projects, you should first strategically target things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And if you're not ready for that, then you need to figure out how to get to that point. It's hard for most people to do that when they are spending their entire day working a job that they hate, that isn't challenging, is boring, has a terrible product, a narcissistic boss, a recipe for disaster, because you don't actually have time to work on the problems that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So you just avoid them by working more. Maybe coming home and just, well, I need to watch like a TV show or play a video game. You need time. You need time. So what we're looking for today, what I'm going to start with before we get into the real stuff, my story, what's happening here, what my mission is, I want to talk about the gift of time. We're talking about the most important gift that you can give to anyone. And if you're a sales rep listening to this, this is the most important thing that you can offer value-wise to someone, even if right now they're currently prioritizing something else. So for a lot of people, it's short-term results, immediate, fast turnaround. So usually money, or like a new employee, or a new car, or a new product to sell. Those are the things that certain clients or customers prefer, or even people or family or friends. Like, it could be like seeing their grandchild, or you seeing each other, going to a party together, like hanging out, having lunch, a brunch. But if you really dig deep, if you start following the road and trace it back to the origin, you're going to see that everything comes down to time. A lot of people view it, in my opinion, this is just pure opinion, through the negative lens, the negative perspective of everything is a sunk cost fallacy. Hey, I either do A or I do B. If I'm doing A, I lose out on all this stuff. So if you're of the scarcity mindset, you're just prioritizing immediate results. Anything that could be a long-term gain is not the correct play, because you don't know if it's going to result in what you want. Here's the spoilers. Here's the punchline. The best people at anything, they know. I don't know exactly how the entire process and journey is going to go, but I do know what the end result will be with my knowledge and what I'm about to start doing. And that should be like that for anything and anything you do. That's called a calculated risk. There's no such thing as a sunk cost fallacy then, because the worst case scenario is you still learned something and you got more experience. So if you had to do it again, you'd do it better. With that said, if you can give someone time, what could you do with extra time? I feel like a lot of sales managers and C-levels try to train their sales reps into thinking about it like that. Pitch the doctor, pitch the business owner, whatever. What would you do with an extra hour a week or a day or whatever it is? Now, that was basically the EHR, EMR sale, for medical software, optimizing your workflow efficiency, your day-to-day process. Hey, let's remove the headache. Let's remove the part that you didn't have to go to school for, so you can focus on the part that you went to school for. How much time will you save if AI is automating the note for you, so you don't actually have to worry about that? A lot. It's a great question, but it's the first step. What would you do with that extra time? Well, at work, not a lot. People aren't looking to free up excessive hours at work so that they can work more. Let's be real. Most of us are just trying to get through the day. If you're not, congratulations. You're in the top 1%. As someone who used to sell to many different personas like this, enterprise, large businesses, we're talking 300K plus ARR, universities, the largest surgery clinics in states, the rural health clinics. There's a lot of value to be had in optimization and time gating. Let's think about it on a more personal level, because that's where it gets real interesting. What if I told you right now that I am going to give you a year, 1 year, a full year, where you don't have to worry about money, where you don't have to worry about bills, where you don't have to worry about going to work every single day? What would you do with 1 year? 1 year, starting January 1st. Let's just do it, because why not? It shouldn't matter the date, but let's just make it easy for most people, because they like to start on the 1st of the year. You have 1 year from January 1st, 2024 until December 31st, 2024. No expectations, no responsibilities. You. What would you do at that time? What would you do with a year? What would you do with 6 months? What would you do with 3 months? What would you do with a month? What would you do with 2 weeks? We're not talking vacation. We're actually talking just literally giving someone time. And then let's make it even better. The second best gift that you can give to anyone other than time: support. Imagine if you got supported by your friends, your loved ones, your parents, your job, whatever, and they were like, you should do this. Take this time. What could you do at that time? Personally, I view it as a time to, hey, attack the problem areas in my life. And problem areas don't mean well, my girlfriend could work out more. My girlfriend could clean the dishes more. Those are problems. I'm like, really? No, we're talking hey, I haven't been as present for my child. How can I be more involved in parenting, develop better relationship, teach him more things? We're talking about the real stuff, personal stuff, accountability. Look at yourself. What can you do? What can you do for your family? In my opinion, it's the opportunity to find a job that you actually love and care about. Something that you're passionate about, something that you believe in. It could be still selling, but it could be a product that you actually believe in, a company that you resonate with, that you haven't lost faith in. That you don't feel like you're scamming your customers, that you're actually changing lives and improving situations, and you're not just doing it for the money. Because now you're not worried about the money. If you didn't have to worry about paying the bills because you bought way too many things for your own reasons that you don't need anymore, and they're just sitting there. For example, you bought a boat and you're just paying for it to be docked and refueled, but you never actually use it because you have no time, because you have to work excessively just to pay for all the stuff that comes with it. What would you do? You have now opportunity. You have opportunity to heal, to actually work on your mental health, do therapy or not, read books, listen to positive stuff, change your network, eliminate and cut out negative people, surround yourself with positive people or people who've actually impacted you in a very good way throughout your life. There's been people that you're like, wow, when I hung out with them, I felt like I was the best version of myself. Bring them back into your life, reach out, reconnect to them. The gift of time and support, being surrounded by people that actually cheer you on, that encourage you, that are making you be a better person day in, day out without judgment. Those people are precious. And now you have time on top of that. Really, just to sum it up, I think about it as having time, giving some time is you're giving them the opportunity to do things, whatever it is they decide is valuable for them in their life that they wish they could, but they just don't have time to do because there's consequences. That's the key. When you give someone the gift of time, you're giving them freedom, a shorter period of time where there are no consequences. That's a real gift, where they can actually operate at the level that they want to operate at rather than compromising or cutting corners or taking shortcuts. You give that to people, support and time, where there's no consequences for that extra time that they have now, you will change people's lives like that. There have been a few people in my life that have given that to me, and I would say that by far, out of anything that I've gotten in life, or received in life, or experienced in life, those have been the best gifts. The thing, the industry, the product, the whatever you want to call it, that gave that to me the most in my life, which is why I am such a believer in it and why I tell everyone that it unlocked me, is sales. Sales gave me the gift of time. Sales gave me the key to my life to take control of it and decide what I want to do with it. It gave me a different perspective. It showed me that there's so many different areas and sections of my life that I can improve and work on if I want to be the best and make more money, because it's based on merit and hard work and performance of that day rather than numbers game. If you do your right qualifications, you could have ridiculously high close rate if you're really good at what you do. Product fits and you've researched it correctly and you've built relationships and trust and likability. You don't need to call a call 200 times. You don't need to do 45 meetings a week. You don't. So sales gave me all of these things because I found that I had success with it. Sales and a few other people, my dad, brother, a few friends throughout my life, but mostly myself and sales, gave me the gift of time. It allowed me to set my life back in order because it had fallen apart, in my own personal opinion, based on many, many, many circumstances and decisions and things that most people should not have to go through. I want to start with a moment of vulnerability. It almost took me too long to heal, and it almost ruined my life, my family's life, my kids' life. It almost took me too long to heal. That's just a really sad thing to think about, that I had the opportunity based on, my hard work. I sold really well. I was really good at what I did, and I had a lot of money and savings, and I had a select few people that listened to me and cared about me and supported me. I was able to put in the work on the things that I know will set me up for success for the rest of my life. And now it's going to pay off. But everyone I talked to, everyone that I was shared my experiences and my perspective, thought I was crazy, thought I was messed up, thought I was lazy, thought I was a bad person. When I get into what I healed from, the hurt, the damage, the pain, the struggles, I just want people to realize that it's not a brag. I hope no one ever goes through any of these challenges ever. But I want people to realize that it is possible to heal. If one person can do it, so can you. Because trust me, I'm really bad at many, many things. Many things. It took me a long time to develop the self-awareness that I have today that makes me realize that I'm really, really shitty at so much, but I'm really good at select few things. And I focus on those select few things. I prioritize those select few things. Those select few things are the guiding force behind my life. They decide what I do, what I work on, what I talk about, what I think about. So with that said, if you haven't heard yet, I have a 22-month-old son. I'm a father. I have a wife. I'm a family man now. They define me in every shape and form that's out there. They're my guiding force. They're my guiding light. They are my life. Literally. They are my life. And when you see your life falling apart from their own challenges and their own reasons, their own life collapsing to the point where you're noticing these struggles, and you also at the same time face some of the most barbaric, terrible things that you've faced in your entire life, your entire 32 years alive, it gets dark for the family. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, I just know that if I'm not going to do it, I can't trust or count on anyone else doing it for me. You can say that I've developed that mindset because I've been hurt, because I was basically self-parented and self-taught after I was 15, and honestly before, because my dad had to work so much, and because my parents didn't know how to navigate raising a son in third world countries. My dad was a diplomat, a Mexican ambassador, so what that means is I lived in 6 countries before I was 18. I moved every 1 to 2 years, different states, and I'm just extremely grateful that I had the privilege to be born in Seattle, Washington, because I could have been born anywhere else. I could have been born in a third world country and I would have that residency and I would not be American and I would not be doing this today. So literally just starting there. So my entire story, my entire journey begins with gratitude that I was fortunate that my dad, who's Mexican, my mom was German, his first assignment professionally was in Seattle, Washington, and I was born there. And because of that, I'm here today. Honestly, I could probably just end the recording right here, right now. That says everything. That's the game. You know, in life, there's moments. I think life is defined by our experiences, but I prefer the word moments. There's a crossroad, there's a fork in the road, and you can choose. There's millions of these throughout your life, but you can either go left or you can go right. Or if you're me, you go right, but you go slightly off the road, so you're walking on the dirt, so you can cut corners and take shortcuts because you're able to. On the grand scheme of things, it saves minutes, not years or hours. But I do it my way. I don't walk the paved path. I pave my own path. But I see the paved path to my left as a guide. So it all starts there. That's what led me to here. It's a beautiful thing to think about, but it also, I want people to understand that that's why everything I say might be a little different than what you're used to hearing from your friend group or your family or from your coworkers. It's because, you know, before I was 18, I got to see that the world is very different than most people think it is. I just think about in Jamaica. I was 11 years old when I had to go to Jamaica and I had to walk to school. And I remember walking to school and my mom getting threatened by this dude because she got too close to his chicken, the machete. And that's what a kid sees. And I'm almost like, why is that guy just sitting on a metal chair at 7 a.m.? Why is there a big smoke cloud over him? And the first day of school, I'm asked to sing a song to everyone. And I'm like, are we talking Backstreet Boys and NSYNC? Turns out, being the only white kid there, and it's a Catholic school, no, the first 30 minutes of every school day, they call devotion. Everyone sings religious songs and everyone starts clapping. So you realize, oh wait, there's no Pledge of Allegiance. There's no typical school lunches. There's no school bus system. You have to go to church. There's a religious class. And those are the most PG rated stories. There's so much more. If I can already see that as a kid, that there's so much difference. Hey, I just came from Denver, Colorado. I did 1st to 4th grade there, and now I moved to Jamaica. And I'm like, they're exactly the same. These kids are kids. They just have seen very different stuff. And I lived 10 minutes away from Columbine when it happened here in Colorado, in Littleton. And, you know, like I've seen a lot of experiences. I've had a lot of different experiences. I was in the US during 9/11, so that impacted me too. Like, so there's a million different things that have been going on. I've literally met friends that just, the biggest problem in their life is whether they go to prom or not. And I'm just like, guys, do you know what's out there? Do you realize how big the world is? Do you realize what problems those kids are facing in Ecuador, in Guatemala, in Jamaica, in Germany, in the villages, in a small town close to Munich, in the Bavaria region? And I've never been to Asia or the Middle East and Africa, and those places have their own unique, crazy challenges. So it's like, how can you think that your perspective, your situation, your view on the world, your bubble is the entire world? It has been so far for you, but for you not to realize that there's more out there, parents, come on. We cannot raise our kids to be ignorant and naive. We can't. They don't need to experience all of those things, but they should at least be aware of them. That, hey guys, the way we live, we need to be grateful. We have privileges. We have so many things we don't have to worry about on a daily basis. We have time. We have support. So why do I give all this background? Again, you're going to hear me talk about things that are different. This is my story. This is my journey. And these are the things that, based on having seen so much of the world already at a young age, it's defined me, it's shaped me. But I've tried so many different things. Because, you know, let's be real, growing up, if you lose your social network, your friend group every year, and you have to rebuild it, and I got really good at rebuilding it, which is what started the foundation of my sales ability and talent. And obviously, having my dad as a role model to see like how he built relationships and network and connected with different diplomats and presidents of different countries, because he was responsible for representing Mexico with like Ecuador, Jamaica, or Guatemala. He was the representative for you sales guys. you're representing your business, your company, and you're trying to prospect sell another country. That was exactly what it is. And that's why we're getting into that more, but that's the foundation and the theory behind the sales diplomat, or the sales process, that I'm looking to show people is one way to sell the diplomatic sale. Country versus country. Think of it like that. How would you court a president? Treat every customer like that? Tell me how your business grows. So this is a tale of stay-at-home dad discrimination. I had the opportunity, the gift of time, to heal my mental health after suffering some terrible things. And we'll get into it shortly what those are. But point is, I also was responsible for stepping up because my wife was undergoing PPD. For those who are not aware, it's basically after you give birth, it's a lengthy period after, depression can kick in. Unfortunately, she did not have a very big support network. On the contrary, she had a lot of friends and family that were abusive, disrespectful, hateful, judgmental. And most people aren't strong enough to deal with that, even if it's just like random strangers. Now it's the people that you thought had your back and were supposed to support you and trust you. Yeah, they caused a lot of problems. Now someone that you're relying on to trust, to take care and raise your kid, is struggling to take care of herself. And I was struggling to take care of myself because of the things that I went through. What do you do now? You have a little kid. Everyone's struggling. Who steps up? What's the solution? Do we just complain to our friends, to our family? Do we just complain? Lack of support is a real problem. And for every parent out there that's estranged from their kid, just ask yourself, how much real support have you actually given to your child? And if you can't answer that truthfully, there's your answer. So I was essentially taking care of my kid, but also taking care of my wife, guiding her through this process, while also trying to figure out how to heal from all the terrible things that had happened to me. So with that said, I came from abusive environments, specifically professionally, toxic workplaces. I just want to throw it out here now because I hope people are following along, but it comes down to really one thing. We are taught from a very young age to never question things, ever. Ever. Just listen to what I have to say, do as you're told, because I said so. We never explain to children why. And we think that they'll figure it out later. And they will. But here's the thing, they're not gonna forget. Some might, but most won't. So they know, they're like, you didn't want to bother explaining it to me. You didn't want to put in the time or the effort to actually explain or properly parent or properly teach or properly guide. So you just wanted to be authoritarian and create a fake environment and lead by fear and make them, we could go on and on forever there. But sales leadership in most companies is abusive, period. They create horrible work environments for the employees, and they create terrible selling environments for the clients. Selling should be, because it can be, fun, both for the buyer, because they're buying something that they are excited about, that's going to change their business, that's going to change their personal life, that's going to make them happier, it's going to give them the gift of time, whatever it is. Or they need money now and it's going to make them money now, like whatever it is, that's exciting for them. And for the seller, well, you're going to see your product change someone's life, either personally or professionally in a business. They're going to be happy. You're going to build a relationship. You guys are going to have dinner, drinks, have a good conversation, build up a relationship, hopefully even become friends. Why can't selling be fun? Oh, wait, it's because of sales leadership, period. They create these short-term KPI environments where they make the client on guard because they're encouraging lying to them and high-pressure sales tactics so that they can get a profit and a sale now rather than in 1 month. Guess what? If you really build a proper pipeline and you have a sale every month, you're going to crush it. Oh, wait, no, we just need one for this quarter, even though we're still private. We don't even have investors that we have to report to, shareholders. So what the heck, guys? Why are you micromanaging? Because that's all you know how to do? Because this is what worked for you? Guess what? There's a million different ways to get to the same answer. 1 + 1 is 2. 3 - 1 is 2. 2 × 1 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. There's a million different ways to get to the same answer. So why do we have to do it exactly your way? It's one way. Are you really going to make the shyest guy or girl sell your way when you've always been like the high school president and the prom king and the jock, and you always talk to everyone? Like, this guy was the nerd, but he's learning how to have conversational skills. You're really going to make him do your exact same approach? You can teach him things and guide him in that direction because you think it'll be beneficial, but why are you forcing someone to do it your way? You should be able to actually teach people the science, the psychology, the path, the sales process, the steps, the idea, the mindset, the strategy behind it, so that you can guide them and actually teach them how to sell, how to buy, how to purchase, how to guide people, how to get people to earn their trust, become more likable, like that. Instead of saying, how many meetings did you book? How many calls did you do? If that's your way of managing today, you suck, period. You're mediocre. You're average. You don't actually care about people's results or developing them. You're just trying to get results through fear and fake environments. And you're ruining it for the client too, because now they think every salesperson is sleazy and lying to them. So when are we going to just take a step back and be like, enough sales leaders, enough sales organizations? Why does it have to be this way? Is there really not a better way of doing things? That's what I'm looking to change. I believe, and I would argue, that sales isn't an emotional thing. There are certainly processes that you could automate. There's certainly processes that you can figure out, that you can almost argue that there are best practices. But at the end of the day, most people buy emotionally and because of a need that arose in for their unique circumstances where they're at in the journey of life or their business or personal. So why are we making something emotional scientific when we're talking about, well, it's all a numbers game. You have to reach 126 people a day because you're going to have a 1% success rate. So that equals this and that. Then based on that, if your close rate is 27%, you're going to get, so that's why we need to do 127 calls a day so that we can get 2 meetings booked a day so that we can get 1 deal booked a month. I'm like, really? How about you figure out how to get people to like you more? How to improve the product? How to market better, how to brand better, to develop better leads, how to have a conversation, how to run a better dinner meeting, how to run a better networking event, how to build up key accounts and strategies that will be used as your referrals, as your brand ambassadors, as whatever. Right? There's a million different things you can do. Sales unlocked me. And I gave up on it because my tale is a tale of discrimination against a stay-at-home dad who had to do what he had to do to take care of his family. And let it be known that I have a huge list of people, names, companies that discriminated against me and my family. They know the score. Perhaps one day I'll reveal them, but they know the score. And so what am I looking for today? I'm looking to improve sales. I'm looking to fix the industry. Make it better one day at a time. But to get into that, we need to talk about something else that's going on in today's society, which is hiring is broken. So this part is something that I think is extremely important for everyone to hear, because currently the market is really bad. If you get a job quickly, if you've only done a few applications and a few interviews and you get a job immediately, consider yourself blessed, consider yourself talented, consider yourself really good at what you do, that you found the right people, you figured it out, the system, you know how to game the system, whatever it is, you're good. You're fortunate. Be grateful, because the majority of people out there are not experiencing that. So if you come out here and brag about you got 7 different job offers and you're not sure which one to take, most people are going to hate your guts because they can't even get one. They can't even get interviews. They can't even get step 1. And instead of doing the typical approach where I feel like most people do, is where they're like, well, then there's something wrong with your resume, or there's something wrong with your interviewing skills, or there's something like, we can always be better. But right now, the market is messed up. Post-COVID created a lot of entitlement. There's a lot of people that think they are better than they actually are in everything, specifically business and sales. But tech, gosh, so many companies got loans, personal and business ones, that shouldn't have. I sold to customers when I sold medical aesthetic devices, lasers. They should not have got one. I'm just like, really? They need to do more work. but hey, maybe they're going to learn. So now it's called a correction. There's too many people that are getting paid obscene levels of money that honestly probably shouldn't be getting paid that much. We're used to, hey, growth at all costs. We can grow every single quarter. Otherwise, we're doing it wrong. I'm like, really? Well, hey, what if this year our company made $10 million of profit? Next year we have to make 12. I'm like, guys, why don't we just make $10 million again? Why does everyone have to grow to be the largest? What about legacy? What about impact? What about actually changing an industry, changing the product, changing the conversation? Like, why are all those things not discussed? What about creating the next sales process, the next approach, so that customers don't hate our guts and literally do everything possible to avoid being sold to? The point is, we can always be better at what we do personally. I can always interview better. I can always have a better conversation. I can always have a better resume. I can always have a better brand, a better logo, better music, better. You can always do anything better. Michael Jordan could play better. Messi could play better. Cristiano Ronaldo could play better. Andrea Bocelli could sing better. It doesn't matter what it is. You can always do better. So we have normalized in today's society, in today's economic climate, if you don't actually sit down and think about this and discuss this with people, where it's just like, it clearly is you. You're the problem. And accountability is the best thing that you can do for yourself, right? Like, hey, what can I do to be better? You should always do that after every single failed attempt. Like, hey, I'm not getting any response from my resume. Let's tighten it up. Hey, I'm not moving past the first round interview. Let's tighten that up. Hey, this is happening. Maybe I should just like go around the whole like resume process and like reach out to hiring managers directly or sales managers. Like, there's a million things that you can do, and you should do them. But ignoring the realities of what's actually going on is doing yourself a disservice. So number one, there's been an excessive amount of layoffs going on at every company, at every industry. Like, I promise you, if there was, I wonder if AI can do this. I haven't tried it yet with ChatGPT or any of the other competitors that just are releasing now. If you can actually get a list of all the layoffs that have happened this last year in 2023, I think most people would be absolutely astounded and shocked to see the number of people that were laid off. A lot of these positions were definitely premium positions. They didn't have a huge impact on the bottom line of the company, but they've definitely made things easier or better with how the company was ran. So nice to haves are the first things that go. It would be really nice to go on 7 vacations this year. Well, if you don't have money, maybe you can't even go on 1 vacation this year. Nice to haves are the first things that go. And it's not just small companies, but think there's so many small startups that are falling apart. I just think of one of the more recent ones, Spotify, huge amount of layoffs, Amazon, Salesforce, some of them then wanting to rehire the same employees that they laid off. Huge companies, super successful companies. Here's the problem. So all these people are being laid off. Think of it as like a pool, a huge water pool. Every time someone gets laid off, they fall down from a pipe into this pool, and now they're in the water. They're swimming, they're floating. This pool is humongous, it can hold hundreds of thousands of people. So now there's an excessive amount of people in this pool. Normally at any given point in time, this pool maybe has like 100 people. And out of those 100 people, 10 people are only going to be into science stuff, 10 people are going to be into audio media stuff, 10 people are going to be into like video games, TV, acting, sales, etc., right? So actually, if you really broke it down, for most people, the pool really only holds maybe like 8, 9, 10 other people, because they can ignore the rest unless they're really looking to change their career in industry. Basically, what is ended up happening is that hiring, recruiters, employers, hiring managers are treating the current hiring market as a dating app. So what I mean by that, they have 1,000 options in front of them, 1,000, and they don't know how to evaluate people. I would say 99.9% of people don't know how to evaluate things properly. I've gotten extremely good at it, and I still don't think I know how to evaluate things to the best ability. I know how to evaluate for me, based on my needs and my priorities, but even then, I feel like I've gotten really good at extracting people's true stories and knowledge and talents and showcasing their examples and eliminating fake environments and their guard so that I can actually figure out who they are, what they value, their ambitions, what they think. Because a good interview should be a conversation. It shouldn't be a list of questions. It should be natural. It should be free-flowing. We should be able to talk our truths, who we are, what we believe in, how the company operates, what we envision for us. That's how it should be. You have 1,000 people in front of you. I mean, just think of it, guys, or even girls, but let's think of it from the guy's perspective, because girls get bombarded. If they've ever been on dating apps, they get it. Think of it like the hot girl on the dating app. She gets 1 million likes. She can be picky. She's entitled, because there's dudes out there that will do anything for her. They will literally take her to Mexico for a first date. All expenses paid, first class, nice resort. So she has those options. So of course she's going to be entitled. She's like, wait, what? You're taking me just to the ice cream shop next door to my house? Really? On my lap? Let me stop you there. Who cares about your last? Now the ridiculous requirements come in. He has to have gray eyes, and he has to be 6'1" or taller, and he only can weigh 120, and he has to have these kind of muscles, and he has to wear these kind of clothes, and he has to be able to speak 7 different languages. It's all bullshit. If you think that is going to lead to a good relationship, I'd love to talk to you in a few years. I'd love to talk to you in a few years. If you think that a list of those kind of requirements will lead to a good relationship. For the guys, though, imagine, before I met my wife, if I had 1,000 different girls throwing themselves at me, I don't know how I would have chosen. I think you're super fascinating. I think you're gorgeous. I actually really respect and love that I can have a in-depth intellectual conversation with you, and we can talk about our interests, who we are, and be ourselves. Hold on, let me see what these other 999 girls are like, and then we can get back and talk and see if we move on. Why do I do that? Because I'm scared. Because I'm scared that I'm going to make the wrong choice. I have so much choice. It's not even just choice paralysis. It's fear. But why am I afraid? Because what if we actually get serious and we get married? Now I lost the opportunity to be with all these other girls. Maybe they would have been even more amazing. And that's the root of the problem. Especially when you factor in the most hiring managers or HR ladies or recruiters. Recruiters are just looking for the quick buck. The hiring managers and those people are just super scared and insecure, because most sales organizations, but most jobs are managed through fear. The bosses are going to get mad. We gave this person a 100K base, had to get the budget approved, and they've literally not sold anything, and they've caused drama. They're just a terrible hire. Damn it, man. I trusted you. So now they're afraid. So what happens when they're afraid? Well, you're not truly yourself. You second guess yourself. You will okay, well, you know what? Let me bring in 7 other people to evaluate this person and give their stamp of approval, because then if it doesn't work out, well, it's not just on me. Everyone thought this person was going to work out. Well, here's the deal. In that time frame, you could have tried someone out, 2 weeks to figure out, okay, they're not ready. Do we want to invest? But we actually really like them. They really boost the culture. They make everyone happier and more positive. Do we want to work on them and train them and invest in them and teach them and make them grow and help them grow and develop? No? Okay. Then let's just get rid of them. You don't give people a fair shot. People are not having a fair shot right now to prove themselves or to develop. And why I say this is because every single job I've ever had, I've been underqualified for. I haven't had the experience. I haven't had the requirements. I had never done that industry before. I didn't know anything about the industry. At every single job I've ever taken, I've ended up becoming a top rep, if not the top rep. Every time I got faster, and every time I disrupted what the status quo and the old guard did and knew, it's because I'm bringing in a fresh perspective and bringing in all my experience that I got from so many different other industries. Some were many times more complex and challenging. I ask you, why is it then that you have so many options, but so you're looking for the person who has 27 years of experience doing it, so you don't actually have to train anyone and invest in them, and there's no risk. You can just take their book of business and use their existing relationships. You don't actually have to build out a proper marketing plan. You don't have to develop a good product. You don't have to develop good fulfillment. You can just be like, oh, he has relationships and they'll buy anything that he sells, so that's going to be our selling and growth strategy, rather than actually developing a good product, good branding, good marketing, a good sales process, good sales cycle, having good value that make people want to do it. You guys see the problem here? I hope so. These are the kind of conversations I have with friends. So if you like nerding out about this shit over a beer or a coffee, this is what I talk about. And I remember there was this guy, it was a medical device company. This dude went through a lengthy interview process, hiring process, and got an offer. And he would have to relocate to New York. So he hadn't signed it yet though, but he got the verbal. He had a wife. He didn't have a kid, but he had a dog. He starts looking for homes in New York. He had already put in his 2 weeks. Month-long interview process. About to uproot their entire life. Only for it to be revoked and be like, sorry guys. And they got ghosted. He had to follow up to just ask why he hasn't signed anything. We can invest so much time into someone just to get ghosted like that. And imagine if this dude and his wife quit their job, had already moved to New York, got a new place there, then to find out they're not getting any help with relocation. They don't have a job. They have nothing. They sold their possessions. They sold their house. What is going on with the companies in the hiring process? Who do you think you are? I know for a fact that I would never, ever let my son work for a company, unless he wants to. I hope not. That is willing to treat someone like that, to that level of disrespect. You could have ruined someone's life. You don't mess with someone's livelihood. Where's the empathy? Where's the compassion? I know at the end of the day, you're a business and you have to care about profits and you have to do all that stuff, but we're human. We have eliminated the human aspect just because there's a million people now all looking for jobs. Guys, we're still people. Stop looking for the perfect hire because there's no such thing. You think it's perfect. You think it's perfect. For me, if I see someone who has 20 years of experience in the same industry, I think that's a bad thing. Because that means that they're stuck in their ways. They think there's only one way to do things. Now, I could be wrong, and that's what would happen in the interview. I'm looking to confirm. That's my theory. I would be talking to them and be like, hey, so what's your approach to staying up to date with everything? Like, how did you handle COVID, and how did it disrupt your industry, and things like that, so you can actually see how they learn and how they stay on top of their skill set. Because otherwise, they're that person that's like still pitching and selling the same way that they have for the last 12 years because they figured it out and it works. Well, guess what? The world has changed a lot. The world is very different today than it was yesterday. If you're not growing and changing, you're dying. Period. Hiring's broken. Hiring is broken. So I do want to clarify one thing really quick about if you've only been in one industry. I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with that. It's what you do with that. If you could become the master of one thing, and I think knowing yourself to that level and, hey, I'm the master at X, there's something to be said about that. And I respect that. But I've just found that throughout my 9 years of selling and doing other things professionally, that most people who stay in one industry are vulnerable, because those are the same people who've lived in their same hometown or have maybe moved 5 minutes away from where they grew up. Same job, same city, you're vulnerable because now you think that your way is the only way. And that is very, very dangerous, because not only does that create entitlement, it creates false confidence. It makes you think that you're better than other people when you're not. You're good, but other people are good too. And that's how micromanagement starts, because you think that they have to do it your way. And you don't understand that you can learn from everyone. I want people to truly focus on this one aspect, which is be open. Consider every possibility. It's consideration, it's not facts. There can be 6 ways to get to Modern Market or a grocery store. You don't have to take that exact same path. Now, does your path work? Yes. But can you consider that there are other paths that work? If you can't, you're vulnerable. That's a weakness. There's not only one way to do things. I would highly recommend for those people who are in this trap, which is common, especially in the US. There's been so much prosperity that families have built up their wealth over the years, over the generations. Think of it as there's templates. I want people to realize that I don't think I'm right. I'm far from right. Do I think that my methods are some of the best methods out there based on me trying 27 different ways? Absolutely. But they work for me, for my personality, for my experiences, from my moral compass, my ethics, my perspective. Take what resonates with you from others. I really like how he handles this, but I don't like that part. Let me try this. And you bring it into your own template. When I had a kid, now that he's 22 months old, I've realized he's basically a blank slate, a template. We get to put what's on his arm, how it is on his hair, his face, everything. We are creating that kid. We're modifying the template, and I want you to think about that in sales and hiring and anything you do in life. You can learn from every single person. Someone has some valuable wisdom. There's something you can learn from them. They can ask a question that you've never considered before. And worst case scenario, they're going to ask questions that make you rethink things and reinforce things. So why do I say there's not only one way? Because your way was developed based on your experiences, based on how you grew up. I promise you, I do things completely different than you. 99% of things that I do probably do differently than you. The power, the secret is to be able to change your mind based on new information, based on new knowledge. Like, hey, this is how our company grew successfully over the last 12 years. Why would we change it? Because the world has been changing. Doesn't mean that aren't better ways. It works. But keep trying. I want someone to think about this. And if it makes sense, hit me up. Let me know. Once the majority knows something or the majority does something, it's no longer the best way. The majority ruins it. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, now that means the only thing that will make you stand out is pure time commitment and merit. But merit is going to be lessened because guess what? Since everyone's doing it, they're ruining it for you. The customer's going to be like, oh gosh, everyone's calling 200 times. Imagine getting individually you on your phone, 200 phone calls a day from 200 different reps. Why would you pick up? Oh, I caught you at the good time. Okay, so they pick up at 1 o'clock. I'm going to call them again then. No. Find a way that you don't have to call. Why are you doing what everyone else does? Just because that's what Salesforce and Gong did years ago, and they developed that and they created that. It worked back then because not everyone did it. I remember when I first got a phone, if I got a phone call, I was excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting a phone call. Like, hello? Now, I don't pick up a single call if it's not a saved number that I know or I'm expecting it. Guys, you have to be open and consider to changing your tactics and your methodology. You have to. So let's get into it. I want to talk a little bit about background on me, so people have context as to why you should listen to me and why you shouldn't. It's simple. As long as I'm giving you value, as long as I'm making you think, as long as I'm making you analyze, making you self-reflect, making you contemplate, keep listening. Share with other people. I would love for you to argue your case and debate my points. If you agree or disagree, please. I'm looking for conversation, not presentation. That's number one. I want a conversation with you guys. I want to put in the ecosystem of the sales and hiring conversations and self-awareness development conversations, some of my theories, some of my approaches, some of my beliefs. If you think that there's something to it, or it made you think and made you question something, it made you realize, hey, why do we do it that way? It made you realize, wait, I don't have to use the PowerPoint that my boss tells me to use. I can make it my own, but I can use that as a template, as a foundation. Huh. If you go from there and you build something with it, that would make me so happy. So what is my experience? I'm going to do in-depth videos talking about deal reviews. I'm going to do in-depth videos talking about industries. I've worked in the timeshare industry. I've worked in the restaurant sales industry. I've worked in foreign policy, diplomatic industries. I've worked as a medical software salesman. I've worked in the medical device sales industry, specifically aesthetic lasers, capital equipment. For titles and for roles, I was a sales executive. I had leadership responsibilities there, essentially a supervisor role, but started as a rep. I would say my timeshare sales experience was similar to what an SDR, BDR would be expected to do today. For the timeshare industry, I was the one who got people to attend a timeshare presentation. I was the face of the company that got people to actually commit to a sales pitch where they are being pitched to buy a timeshare. When I worked for the medical software company, my title was account executive, but my duties were much more acquiring new business. Account management was huge. My territory, Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, covered some of Washington, some of California, some of Hawaii, some of Arizona at times, was much more at the enterprise account executive, account manager role. I had some huge accounts, paid us over 500, 600 grand a year, reoccurring. My biggest deal was an 18-month, 800K deal. I was playing with 1 doctor facilities and 42 doctor surgery clinics with 8 different locations, ASCs and CHCs, RHCs. Like, I had all kinds of clients, and I had to sell to people in rural Kansas, rural Nebraska, and also stuck up downtown Denver, universities. There was a wide array of personas, but it was medical software, it was SaaS for those people who love that term. But there was a lot of upselling. Most of the sales actually happened to existing customers. Since there was a lot of turnover in the rep position, it was basically, they were all new customers for you, new relationship. They didn't know you. Most of the customers did not like the company or the product because it was a very, very high pressure, heavy sales organization. And doctors and office managers and medical practices felt nickel and dime. So there was a lot of uphill battle of overcoming bad reputation and distrust and feeling like they were just there to print money for this medical software company. I also was a area sales manager, ASM, in the aesthetic device, medical device industry. Everything I've done since timeshare has been full cycle. I prospect, I do the discovery meeting, the demo, or site visits, or referrals, or references, dinner meetings, networking events, conference selling, things of that nature, moving the deal along to the point where we can get a closing meeting and handling the close, handling the business negotiation, handling for certain deals the legal negotiation during my medical software company, being involved in the project management, the implementation, the training, the delivery, the fulfillment. It was definitely the full sales cycle and convincing my C-levels internally to approve discounts and special asks and things of that nature. Why you should listen to me. In 1 year, my best year, I brought in 2.9 million revenue to the company, and they only counted year one revenue. So a lot of these actually were 3-year, 5-year contracts. It was like a 180K deal on a 5-year contract. I only got credit for the 180K, but they're a subscription. They're going to pay that 180K for the next 5 years. I brought in a lot of money for a company. I saved a lot of accounts. I definitely prevented a huge amount of attrition. Some very, very large and key medical practices in the Colorado territory definitely were salvaged. Sales cycles upwards anywhere from like 2 months to 7, 8, 9 months, depending on the size of the deal, depending on the business, depending if it had to go to procurement and all that fun process that's involved. And also, I've sold much more transactional, where, hey, it could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4-week sales cycle in the aesthetic medical device industry. Most deals were between 70K, and the most I've sold was around 200 something for multiple devices. I sold software. I also sold capital equipment through financing, or some people put it on cash and credit. So I have a wide array of experience and perspectives, and obviously you guys have heard that I lived in 6 countries growing up. I moved every 2 years, and I can speak Spanish, German, and English. I learned in Spanish and English growing up through school. My first job was actually in Spanish, my first professional job post-college. So I've worked and studied in multiple languages. I've lived in third world countries. I got to live in luxuries, and I've lived without any money or even internet or TV for a while. So I've seen a wide range of things. Why should you listen to me? Because I've seen a lot. I've done it many different ways, and I know that there's thousands of ways to get to the same result. And you have to find what works best for you. And currently in the sales industry, in the sales world, and in the hiring world as well, recruitment, there is this obsession with do it my way, or there's no way. And my way usually is just micromanaged, purely rewarded on short-term KPIs and activity, rather than thinking about it as a chess game. I would argue sales is a chess game, not a numbers game. And it's all about the conversation. It's not about a presentation. Lower your guard, have a discussion and conversation with the client. So these are some of my beliefs. These are some of the things that explain who I am, what I've been through, what I think, how I think, and some of my accolades. Been to multiple President's Clubs. Honestly, President's Club was it's just a little reward, pat on the back. The real reward is how much I learned. That's the game. Sales pushes you to learn and improve like no other if you actually want to do well. Especially in the higher tier, more complex, intense jobs like the medical software job, the corporate job. I was not 100% ready when I first started. I knew that, but I underestimated how much work and how much growing I had to do. It started me down a path of unlimited growth. And here we are. I want to get into something a little bit more personal. And I want to just take a little bit of time to do so because this is not the focus. I want to make it very clear to people that it's really easy to get bitter. And I was during many of these things when I was going through them in the moment. And I think you can understand, especially when all of these things happened within the last 3-4 years. I can't even, it's all a blur, but it's really easy to get completely overwhelmed when there's a barrage of negative things that happen to us. Basically getting kicked and stabbed while you're already on the ground. Normally, it's kind of like a parabolic wave where it's, okay, right now, not doing so well, but we're climbing, okay, we're doing great, okay, now follow it. It's doable because you have recovery period and you have stressful periods and then you have the amazing periods and so forth. I didn't really get that here. It was just a constant, non-stop barrage of one bad thing after another. And there comes a point where I think we build resilience, especially in sales, and having lived the life that I did, I know everyone has their own version of this. For me, it was having to restart my life every year or two. You just become very adaptable, very flexible, very independent. You just know that to get it done, to survive, you can't rely on anyone else. You got to rely on yourself. And it's good, but it's really easy to take it too far and push everyone away because, well, you don't need anyone. Because it's true, you don't. But life is better with people. I want to give the context behind it, which is these are all realities. These things don't define me, but they shaped my life. And I think right now there's this, I don't like to use the word toxic because it's overused, but I think it's the perfect description. There's this toxic positivity where people are like, well, you can't complain at all and you can't do this. And they're all true. Don't complain. It doesn't get you anywhere. Just do something about it, whatever it is, whether it's just fully accepting it, crying for a full day and then just accepting that's reality, or start picking away at it, start attacking it until you can improve it or make it better. It's okay to say that life's hard right now because you're dealing with XYZ, 1, 2, 3 things. That's real. If that affects your performance, especially if you're working a job that is so mental, has so much to do with self-esteem, confidence, conviction, belief, faith in oneself, faith in one's company, faith in one's product, faith in one's leaders, all those things. Being able to guide people to go after their dreams, pursue a new business venture with your product and start a new journey. Like, if you're not feeling it, if you're not doing well, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling sad, you can still do okay. But you'll never do as well as you could if you actually took time, paused, self-reflected, journaled, did whatever you needed to do to actually start the healing process. I'm going to talk about it in depth at a later point, but self-awareness. It's really just self-awareness. Get to the point of understanding, and when you understand it, then you can accept it, and then you can either move on or deal with it. Or it's truly like navigating, like a lot of people talk about the stages of grief and the bargaining, and all of that is true, but giving yourself time, again, the gift of time, is everything. So I want people to know that it's okay. Hey, if someone ever calls you out on it, crying about something or mentioning something that's really messed up, that's actually legitimately harming your life or affecting your performance at work, or it's okay. You can't just keep doing that. You can't just keep complaining. But I feel like so many people just want us to feel like it's not okay to struggle. It's okay. But you have to understand that it shapes you. It shapes you because if everything that I'm about to tell you guys was the opposite happens, it literally is the fork in the road, the crossroads. Like, which way do you go, left or right? You know, this happened, this negative thing happened, you went left, and you didn't go by choice necessarily. And that's always hard on the happiness level, the not depressed level, the mental health level, where every time something happens to you that you don't have a choice, that you couldn't control, without you even realizing it, it's going to affect your sanity, your happiness by a lot. The happiest you'll ever be is if you feel fully in control. If you know, like, hey, I can make something good happen tomorrow, and you can do it, and you do it, life's amazing. When you believe, and even if it's true to a certain extent, that you can't, because things keep happening to you out of your control, and there's nothing you can do, or you don't see a way for you to actually change it, that's when things get dark. That's when you start getting depressed and heading down a really bad path. Part of the thing that I want to work on and help people today and every day when I talk about this stuff is helping people get to the point where they can realize that they are in control and there's a lot of things that they can do, and how to start gaining back that control. And Really what it is taking control of the narrative would be step number one. And I would tell people that there's a lot of bad people out there because they're selfish and greedy, in the sense that everyone always will prioritize themselves and their own survival, but these people don't care who gets hurt as long as it helps them. That's what I mean by bad people. They're still not evil, but if they have to take down 70 people to get what they want, they have no problem doing so. Those people, you can still learn a lot from them. Like I was saying, you can learn from everyone. And one of the things that I noticed from certain people that I wouldn't call good is that they were the masters at taking control of the narrative. And we think about in history, all the wars, all the rebellions, all the military coups, all those things like that. What's the first thing that ends up happening is that the media is attacked, is controlled. Why? Because if you control the message and you can control the masses and you can control the reactions and the feelings, all of a sudden now you have control. And what did we say earlier? You're going to be a lot happier, a lot more calm, like mentally doing better if you feel like you can actually control and influence the outcome of things. What I'm doing is taking back control of the narrative. And I'm not doing this for anyone. I'm doing this because the market, the world, is who actually decides what's up. Not me, not my old boss, not my dad, no one. It's everyone else. So if 98% of people think you're amazing and 2% think you're shit, well, that's fair. There's always context and reason behind it. Like, why do they think that? And why do the other people not? There's many reasons and there's a lot of questions and answers that can be said there. But I want people to understand that everything that I'm about to tell you it's not a sob story. These are all things that I went through. But these are the things that led me to this point today with what I'm doing right now, recording this. If I hadn't gone through all these things, I most likely would not be doing this today, or at least not in the shape or form that I am. When you think about it like that, it's almost therapeutic in the sense that anything negative, you're like, well, this is shaping my life in some shape or form. Obviously, we don't want to say for the better, because all these things that I'm about to tell you, that your equivalent, whatever terrible things have happened to you, they're absolutely sad and depressing and horrible. But I want you to just remember when you start healing that all of these things didn't happen for a reason. These things happened and they're going to change your life. They've changed your life. So now, what do you do with it? Maybe they made you more empathetic. Maybe they got you into classical music. So now you start listening to more classical music, and maybe you get into wanting to become a tenor or an opera singer, and it turns out that's what you love and you're actually good at it. And who knows, life's crazy. But too many times we're trapped in our own prison, our own little bubble. And that's why I always tell people to try things and go explore and just realize, hey, if you've lived in your same town, if you've done the same job for 20 years, but you've had the same friend group forever, you need to change things up. Yes, it's going to be hard at first. Yes, you're probably going to feel insecure and scared and worried and maybe become a people pleaser for a little bit. But those are all going to be good experiences that help you grow and help you refine yourself. Basically, you're refining yourself. The people who haven't had the opportunity to be, because they haven't been forced to, like, if I don't need to do something, I'm probably not going to do it. Like, if there's no benefit at all, ever, then why would I do it? Unless it's fun, or I enjoy it personally, or it's something of interest. Anything bad that happens doesn't define you, it shapes you. So, without further ado, what have I been doing? What has Fabian Shigoya been doing? I walked away from the highest paying sales job I've ever had a day before my wedding. I walked away from $400K plus dollar a year job that I was good at, that I could do, that I built up key strategic accounts that loved me. One of them even came to my wedding. I had a group of trainers in my pocket that liked me and I loved them. They were amazing. Best trainers I've ever worked with. They all lived in Colorado. They would do anything for me and I would do anything for them. And I was really close to creating some insane partnerships that would have guaranteed me probably a sale every month or two without doing any extra work. I walked away from a lot of money. It was the day before my wedding. I did it for all of these reasons. And some of them happened after this, but a lot of them happened before. And I want to remind people, these did not define me, but they shaped me. Before I got into this other sales job, I experienced death, real loss, for the first time for someone that was extremely close to me, and that was my childhood dog. It was the only constant that I've had in my entire life. The only constant. And it went from being, hey, he was my friend, he was almost like my older brother, then we became friends and equals, to then basically became his caretaker when he moved with me back to Washington, where I finished high school and university. And I just remember that we went through a terrible time period because the community that I lived in didn't spray for fleas. He had so many, like, some neighbors moved in with cats that had fleas, and oh gosh, it was the worst time ever. Poor guy. And having to fight that was absurd. But we did it. We overcame it together. Then everyone, one by one, I lived with my older brother and older sister. They moved for work or for other purposes, and I was left alone with him. So I became his full caretaker, and at this point he started getting older, and so now he's not just a friend or an equal, he's my grandpa. I was his caretaker. It's a very interesting transition. I don't know, like, normally for our kids, we're always going to be their parent, their caretaker. I don't know, no one really talks about that much, at least not in my circle, about that transition for someone, for a childhood dog. Like, if you grew up with him and then you became his caretaker to the point where you were taking care of him when he was super old. It's a very interesting progression, and I'd be curious to hear what other people's feelings and experiences have been if they were really close with their childhood dog. So that really devastated me. 3-4 years ago, I forget what it is, it's been now, I was going to attempt a personal brand, a podcast. It was my first rodeo at it, and it was going okay, but I definitely wasn't as good as I am today. That's okay. It was my first attempt. You learn. It completely devastated me to the point where I really wasn't able to handle continuing spreading positivity when I just wasn't feeling it. So anyway, what I've been through, my dog's death, a miscarriage. No one really talks about miscarriages and how to properly support people through it and grieve it, and the topic of what ifs and what you foresee and what you lose, and how you, like, for guys, like how you got your wife through a miscarriage or a fiance at that time. That process is interesting. I was fortunate to have a son. I became a dad. He's 22 months now. Very early on after having him, we were told that, you know, it's a scary time period after you have your kid, because they're doing all these tests, like his eyesight, his hearing, like all the senses, right? To see, like, what's up and if he's okay, if all that stuff. And, you know, the percentages of that anything is different about them is low, but yeah, at the end of the day, you would still love them regardless of what happens. But you'd want the best for your little guy. You want him to have the opportunity to just be free to experience life with nothing, no adversity, right? Obviously, adversity is good, and you learn that very quickly as a parent, how to use it for learning and growth. It's a scary time period when they're doing all these tests, like, okay, I hope he's okay, I hope he's okay. And then they tell me and my wife that my son might have a heart murmur, and you don't really know what that means, and they start telling us, and it could be bad, it could be not, like, they have to do more tests, and all of a sudden you're getting referred out to a children's hospital, and fortunately it was a false alarm. But that was scary, you know, like, that could change his life. It was a process, right? It was also working for a company that didn't really give any parental leave whatsoever. I was a sole income provider. I was making enough money for my wife to stay at home. It was hard knowing that I couldn't really take time off and spend time with my son at the beginning and figure out how to be a dad. But you're also going through these time periods, and, you know, there was, I'll just say it, and I will do a deep dive on this because I'm obsessed with psychology, and I think it's part of my secret to success in sales. It's understanding psychology, understanding EQ, and all that stuff like that. But let's just say every sales job I've had has ended up becoming, if not always was, very toxic, in the sense that there was some very, very bad behaviors, lack of ethics, morals, corruption, but there was some abuse going on. And I don't say that lightly. It just is not good for your mental health, especially when you're just trying to make your kid happy and your wife, or about to be wife. So, terrible job, unrealistic expectations, constant fake environments, leading by fear, threatening people to constantly fire them if they don't make arbitrary goals that they set themselves, even though they're not responding to shareholders. It was just not good. Throughout these last 4 years, I've lost over $140,000 in commissions in my sales jobs, and I've had to fight for over $80,000 that I got. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. My sales manager was invited to my wedding. We had a good relationship prior to me saying that I'm going to leave for my mental health, for my family. And, you know, there's a lot of ego involved in sales. I'm not sure why they decided to come to my wedding. It was a destination wedding in Mexico. So they traveled internationally with their family. And they actually sabotaged my wedding. It was a 4-day wedding, 3 days of events, and the 4th day was bonus. And every single event, they sabotaged it and were negative and brought down the mood and actually did things at each event to impact them. The culmination, and remember, this was my sales manager, and I was still employed because I put in my 2-week notice because I was still going to close multiple sales deals before I left, because, you know, I was quitting. I wasn't leaving because I couldn't sell. I closed 4 deals the last like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of me being employed just to finish up. And I said I was going to close one or two more during my 2 weeks. Obviously, I don't think my boss liked that for some reason. But hey, I just wanted them to understand that I just want to make some money before I leave. That's it. And hey, you guys are going to make more money than I am making out of this. So isn't it a win-win? The last day of my wedding, I actually got assaulted by my manager. And I let my bosses know at work about what happened. And instead of anyone asking, "Are you okay?" they just said, "Okay, today is your last day. Thank you. Goodbye." And I have that in writing. And it's just sad that not only was there commission struggles, not only was there micromanagement, not only was there threats leading by fear, insulting people's sales ability, spreading negative rumors, smear campaigns, there was legitimate sabotage and assault at my own wedding. I don't know, I feel like I already put in my 2 weeks. Like, just why can't you just say, "Hey, I wish you luck in your next endeavor"? Why do you need to do that? It exposed lack of family support, generational trauma. Anyway, enough about that. So after all this drama, my mental health was severely impacted. Already just being immersed in such a negative environment at work, then having someone actually truly attempt to mess with me and my wedding, to then not getting family support, to then having to guide my wife, who was going through PPD, postpartum depression, to becoming a stay-at-home dad because my wife was struggling to deal with everything that was happening and support me and her after our wedding got impacted. And her family did not support her in anything. On the contrary, they were extremely, I don't use this word lightly, evil in how they treated her. And it was some of the worst abuse I've ever seen, just so that they can get their way and control her and do what they want her to do. So now you have to support your wife after dealing with all these things, which you should be doing anyway, but now I just put in my resignation. So now also my mental health is not in a good spot. My family pretended that the wedding assault and sabotage did not happen, because it turns out actually my manager was my cousin. So he actually caused a rift in the family, and it's still a problem to this day. So it was bad. Like, it was immature, it was pathetic, it was honestly humiliating to know that certain people are willing to go that low. But I became a stay-at-home dad out of necessity, and I needed time to recover and heal. And I did it for my 3 dogs, my 1 cat, who also ended up having to go through rehab. I had to do rehab with her because she became paralyzed. She could no longer walk, and now she can walk again. That was a lot. During this time, I also had to rebuild my sales confidence, because when you're in an environment where someone's telling you that you suck, you're horrible, you're evil, you're the problem, you just aren't good at what you do every single day, you start losing confidence and self-esteem. So I also had to rebuild my self-esteem and my understanding. And, you know, there's a lot of people that I trusted who betrayed me, that I truly thought were good people. There was a lot of insecurity instilled in me from my surroundings and my environment. There was fear, there was a lot of noise. I think my favorite part about this was it gave me time to focus on the right things. So I lost my sales confidence, and I became very insecure, very fearful. There's just a lot of noise. I wasn't thinking very clearly. I definitely went into a dark place. I gained weight. I wasn't healthy. I was drinking a lot because I was in a toxic, very negative work environment. I was just surrounded by a lot of negativity and hate. Like, all these things were terrible things that happened to me. But all these things led to the best thing that ever could have happened. Obviously, because of sales and because of my family, my dad and my brother, they helped in their own unique ways. I got the gift of time. I had time. And also, my wife gave me time, because we were healing together. Time to actually rebuild my sales confidence, rebuild my self-esteem, basically like gluing yourself back together, taping yourself back together, that you were completely broken, all the blocks fell. Guiding therapy essentially for my entire family to help them navigate this crisis, these problems. You know, my wife having to deal with her family drama, my family drama. It was just nonstop problems. I actually had an opportunity to go on a diet, start exercising, start eating healthier, drinking less. I had the opportunity to travel the world with my son and my wife, and we got to explore. We got to do trips with our pets. We did more things than we would have ever done if we were just still both working nonstop. Jobs that we hate to pay for a life that we don't even enjoy. I had an opportunity to consult with a few people and a few businesses. I had an opportunity to reconnect with some people, but I also had an opportunity to trim my social circle, my friend group, my network, to essentially create a cocoon, hibernate in a cave where I could control the positivity and the sounds that are getting to me and affecting me and impacting me. But I think the best thing of all, was that this forced me to actually take my parental leave, and it made me become a dad. I've always resonated with certain things, as you guys can see back there. Like, Final Fantasy X has a very big father-son story. We have Interstellar, huge father-daughter story. You have like that scene where he's watching all his memories, like when he stayed on the planet for too long and he basically missed 20 years of his daughter's life. Like that, man, that's hard. Last of Us, incredible father-daughter story. There's a lot of things that I was always gravitated toward, but I truly, to give myself the opportunity to fully embrace being a dad, it changed me like nothing else. And then it also gave me the opportunity to get really good and practice my skill set at being a husband. So I got to practice being a dad and got to practice being a husband, all because of all those bad things that I just told you guys about. Got to work on my physical health, work on my mental health, overcome depression, build self-esteem, confidence, self-awareness, help my wife through the same things, try to improve the relationship with her family, try to work on generational trauma within my Mexican family. I tried to reunite families. Didn't necessarily work. This all culminates to, obviously I had a lot of struggles deciding, like, we had to figure out our life, and I had to make sure that my wife was stable and my kid was going to be okay and that I'm going to be okay, and we figured out how we're going to approach our next chapter in life. And it got to a point where I just remember applying for some sales positions because I was contemplating going back, even though I really was not looking forward to it because I chose the wrong job. I got surrounded with the wrong people, and the amount of negativity and damage that it did to my mental health, to my family, to my son, to my dogs, to everything, because I chose incorrectly. I worked a job for money rather than for happiness. It made me give up on sales. Like, I didn't want to do it anymore. I was so burnt out. I was just like, there's no way. Like, what has happened to our industry? It's broken. I'm never going to forget this interview where I would never work for an aesthetic medical device company again until something changes in that industry that's just not good. I remember that I told actually the true story of what happened. There was two things that were said to me throughout my time period. I got denied a lot for being a stay-at-home dad, by the way. A lot. But I remember I told this part to be real with them, and they told me, the hiring manager, sales manager, so you did nothing? And yeah, they've lived rent-free in my head, but that moment really changed my life. It made me realize that there's people out there that only value one thing. They don't value their family, they don't value their kid, they don't value their dogs, they don't value their mental health, they value money and just working. Sometimes that's exactly what a company needs, but I wanted a family, I wanted legacy, I want impact. I want to be able to come home and look my son in the eyes and smile and be like, this is what Dada does, and he can be proud of it, and I can be proud of it, and I can take care of my family. If that's doing nothing, then I will gladly do nothing for the rest of my life. Cheers. As I was saying, I believe hiring is broken. And one of my biggest motivations for it is that I know every industry is different. I was judged for having to step up to take care of my family, and for being a stay-at-home dad, for taking care of my wife who had PPD and dealing with abuse from her family. I was told that raising a kid is thankless. I was told that taking care of your wife, healing your mental health, spending time raising your son is doing nothing. When I told my true story about what happened and why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm hungry to get back into sales, even though I had lost faith in the industry, but I'm looking for an excellent quality job with the right bosses, with the right product that I don't have to apologize for, and that they believe that selling can be better than what it is today. I was encouraged to lie, come up with a story that's not true, so that I would be more hireable. And when I would talk about it with fellow sales reps, they would tell me that they would just lie about almost everything on their resume, about in their interviews. They're like, just lie. Everyone does it. Why aren't you lying? And I'm like, is this really what the world has come down to? Just one huge fake environment when everyone's just fronting and peacocking and pretending? Like, what has happened to this world? What has happened to hiring? That is the go-to. Why are we starting our relationship a professional? But it can be more than that. We can be friends. We can be respected acquaintances, mentee, mentor. There's so many different levels of the relationship, and we start with the hiring people. Everything's just fake and posturing and lying and games. Like, oh, well, I'll only email you back after 3 days. Like, why are we playing games? I now know, after having worked in so many different sales roles, that it's so easy for them to just pull the rug under your feet and have you fall. They don't care. It just really opened my eyes to the reality of the situation. And obviously I didn't expect for the market to collapse and get flooded with all these layoffs, especially like between recession and AI making companies reevaluate necessity of certain positions. It just, there was a lot of factors that combined, but it really just came down to one of the things that still sticks in my mind is that I was told by a sales manager that they don't trust upfront new hires. They have to prove themselves. That's why they micromanage them. And I just was sitting there thinking, I'm like, then why are you hiring them if you don't trust them? Maybe they need to learn. Like, you hire them knowing that you think that they have what it takes. They know how to learn. They know how to research. They know how to build a relationship. They understand sales skills, but they just don't know product knowledge or that stuff like that. And they're a work in progress. I don't understand it then, but even then, like, you can help someone grow and learn without micromanaging them, that actually eliminates creativity and makes people not feel safe, not being willing to take risks to actually fail because they feel like they have to get it right on the first attempt. So I'm just like, why would you hire someone if you don't trust them? It's just sad. I want people to really understand that there's something I believe in, and I call it the bid for attention. It really just comes down to every action that someone does, and this could be professional or personal, and you can use this for any relationship, for your personal relationship, with the relationship with your kid, with the relationship with clients. You can do an action that either heals or hurts. Like, I'm into video games, so I think about it from like, you have health points, a green bar. If you do A, your green bar fills up. If you do B, your green bar goes down. And if you keep doing B, eventually it's going to be empty and you're going to die, or you're going to pass out, or get unconscious, or get fired, or whatever, or lose the deal. Think of it like in a friendship. Someone invites you to a barbecue. If you say yes to the invitation, the relationship improves. If you say no, the relationship goes down. Doesn't matter if it's just, it could be minor, but that's still reality. Every single choice or action you can choose, whether positive or negative, healing or hurting, good or bad, you know what it's going to end up being. Like, that's one of the easiest ways to simulate results. Like, I wonder what's going to happen if I ignore every single phone call from my mom or dad. Is our relationship going to improve, or is it going to get worse? What do you guys think? It's not complicated, but I feel like so many people don't think about it. So if you're applying it in sales, you have to get to a certain point in a relationship to ask for things, or to get to a point where you can ask for specific things with customers. Like, you can get to the point where you're like, hey, look, I know that you wanted to buy this in the middle of September. It's August 15th right now. You would do me a huge favor, and it's my birthday in August, and it's the end of our quarter, and you know my bosses. Could we find a way to make it happen by the end of August? It would just be a huge help for me and my company. But Don's like, okay. You can make that ask, and they'll probably do it for you if you've done enough of the positive, enough of the healing actions that improve the relationship, so now they trust you and like you enough. Think of it like a relationship meter, 0 to 100. The closer to 100, the more likely they're to say yes to everything. So every time you get a bid for attention, it's like, hey, can you send this email by Friday? I'm like, yep, I'll send it to you by Thursday. And you do it, boom, your relationship improves. So keep doing things that improve relationships so that you can get to a point where you can actually ask for things. I am a top sales rep. I always have been a top sales rep at every single company I've worked at. I have learned every job fairly quickly, and it's because I just spend time figuring out the industry, figuring out the personas, figuring out how to sell, my strategy, my approach, learning from everyone that I can that has something that could benefit me. And even if they don't, I still ask just to make sure. I'm like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, oh, interesting. That works for them. Got it. Okay. Whoa, I never considered that. I like that. I wouldn't do well with that. I couldn't do that. But that part, ooh, that's good. That's why. So being a stay-at-home dad and having a work employment gap is considered apparently the worst thing in the world. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the road. But I'm like, why is that terrible? You're telling me if you guys had the opportunity to work on all the things that I did to improve your life, you wouldn't do it? If you had savings because of your sales job, you can afford to walk away from a high-paying job, you wouldn't leave for mental health abuse reasons? Is that wrong? Is taking care of your family and your kid and your dogs and your cat bad? I really want people to hear this part. I literally used to think I was shit. If everyone around you saying you're shit, everyone being certain bosses, it gets to you eventually. Especially as you start becoming more vulnerable and more insecure and more prone to listening to people's voices. Like, you don't know me. Stop talking. Like, you don't know me. You don't know me. So why would I listen to you? And it's because of all those negative things that happened shaped me to become much more vulnerable and much more insecure, have much lower self-esteem, self-awareness. Now you're open and prone to letting negativity get into your head. That's why I talk so much about protecting access. You need to think about your body, your head, your brain as there's a barrier around it. There needs to be a barrier around it because anything that breaks through can literally impact you so much and change your life forever. That's why people always say wear helmets, right? Like when you're riding a bike or doing some kind of activity where like you could hurt your head, because the brain is everything. And what you put in your ears and what you see and what you eat and anything that gets up to your brain has such a huge impact on the quality of your life. You need to protect access to it. It bleeds into you. You got to trim people out. You got to trim the environment. You got to clean it out. You got to eliminate the noise. And the number one way to massively improve your life is to leave a toxic, negative, hateful, fear-oriented, fake work environment. My health deteriorated so much from working terrible sales jobs, even if they paid me the most. It was absurd. Truly, I decayed so much. I aged so much. It was the most I've ever drank. Yeah, it was just bad. That's why I tell people, take back control of your life. Take back control of the narrative. Don't let other people tell you your shit. Hey, you know what? Post your knowledge. Share what you know. If you really are so bad, then everyone's going to say it. If you're not, if it turns out you post and people don't agree with that, I wonder why. Maybe you aren't actually shit. Maybe you aren't actually bad. Maybe they have selfish reasons for saying that. It comes down to this. If you try that, you take back control of your life. Stop letting people get free access to your brain. Protect it like no other. Hey, if you're going to change how I sell, if you're going to change how I raise my kid, if you're going to change how whatever I do with my house and stuff like that, my car, well, you better have worked for it to earn the right to impact my life and influence me to that level. I gave people free access for far too long. That's why if you control your privacy and what you post and you don't give people access to your life, like they don't know anything. They don't know what I'm doing. You guys didn't know almost anything about what's been going on in my life. For those people who already knew me. For people who haven't, well, hey, you're welcome. You get to know me now. So going back to the hiring is broken piece, another thing that comes to mind that I thought was super interesting is that the HR people and the hiring managers, they didn't understand what I was talking about in regards to sales. Like all the tactics and the approaches, they knew their one way, and anything else was like, looked as like, what are you talking about? You can't sell like that. You can't do that. And I'm just like, got it. I need to change my approach. I don't know. It was really weird. And I know they're just a gatekeeper. So just do what you got to do to get past them. But I believe that the hiring process should not be a game. Maybe I'm being ideological, but it should be real. It should be a conversation. Otherwise, we're just wasting each other's time. One of the things that I want to talk about is that I felt like I couldn't actually tell them the way I sell because they think that there's something wrong with the way I sell. I tried it and I got weird looks. So I'm going to try it with you guys and you tell me what you think. It's what I've used to get every single one of my deals and how I've made President's Club at every company I've worked at and how I've crushed it. And you guys tell me if you think that there's value here. It's just so weird. I don't understand if anyone else has gone through something like this. I literally cannot tell hiring managers or HR ladies or sales managers how I sold to get my deals, because even though I got that success, I got deals, I got results because I do it differently than them, and they don't like that. If I don't do it like them, I don't know sales. If I say that I sold, if I find out, they are the ones, they want you to call 200 times. I'm like, yeah, I got this deal by calling 200 times. That's how I found it. They're like, really? Oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, yep. And I closed them by just holding out the pen and waiting until they finally signed it, or high pressure closing them or something like that. And they're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love someone who knows a good cold call. And I'm like, what? I closed this deal without having to cold call at all. They came to me. I made it happen. Hey, can we just talk about that for a little bit? We have to give the textbook answer rather than the real answer. I need to tell people what they want to hear rather than my truth, my skill set, my knowledge. How is something not broken when you have to lie to accommodate other people's lack of open-mindedness perspective? I literally have to lie about how I got a deal because they don't understand that there's other ways of selling. I've only had one other manager in my career who was open for that, and still the best manager I've ever had. I am going to have a full episode on this, a full discussion, a full subject matter deep dive on it, but I don't believe in cold calls anymore. I believe in conversation. I believe in sending real emails or private messages on social media, or building a relationship on social media, or once, if you meet in person, getting a phone number and using text or emails to get in front of them and have the conversation. So basically, you send a message through email, text, DMs, private messages, whatever it is, your first communication is something that gives them control. What do I mean by that? Because people are like, no, never give them control. You let them respond at their leisure, at their time. If I call you, that's me saying, hey, I don't respect your boundaries. You are going to respond based on my convenience, based on my time. Rather, if you text, if you email, if you private message, they can read it whenever. They could read it while they're sitting on the toilet, or while they're on the bus, or when they're taking an Uber. And they can choose to respond when it's convenient for them, rather than having to respond when it's convenient for you as the sales rep. If you tell them how you found them, how you got their information, how you targeted them, how you understood who they are, then you discuss who you are, what you want, and just give them some value up front. Give them a reason to actually want to talk to you. Then you can say, we can discuss more over drinks, over lunch, over dinner. We can do a phone call at X or Y time. And now you set a set time where you can go in depth over what you want to discuss. They know what's coming. They can agree to it. But when they give up an hour of their time or longer, they know full well that they're doing it to have a conversation with you over this product or this company or this idea or this thought. Or if I know that, hey, someone wants to talk 2 hours from now or wants to talk to me for 2 hours about parenting, let's go. But it's planned, rather than they just called me and I'm like, hey, let's talk about parenting. I'm like, yo, I don't got time right now. I'm doing something. That's the whole idea behind it. One of the things about hiring that I feel like needs to be discussed more is interviewing. Interviewing needs to be reevaluated. We ask so many people that have never really got into customer-facing roles to interview a lot. And yes, they're going to get better the more they do it, but if they never had a guide, if no one actually ever trained them or taught them, and they never went out of their own way to learn the art and the skill of interviewing. And there's different ways. Like, there's some people that do improv and more conversational style. There's people that do excessive levels of research to craft the best questions. The point is, there's many ways, but you need to find a way to extract the real information. Otherwise, you're just getting surface level answers. You're not a good interviewer. And, we're asking tech people, nerdy people who literally are the smartest AI, IT people out there to interview. And I'm like, that's not their strength, their skill set. But how about they just have a conversation nerding out about all their stuff, their passions, their tech visions, their ideas, their methodologies, instead of having to ask these canned, pre-written questions. And it's just, if we actually taught people how to interview better, hiring would be so much better, because it's still always guessing. We never know for a fact how someone is going to turn out, because even if they are more than capable of doing the role, they might be in a dark place right now and not have the motivation or the strength or desire to have the work ethic required to succeed. Just some tips for people who are listening who might be looking for some easy questions or approaches to practice the more conversational style to get the real answers. I love asking people how they got into this room to where they are today. Or, hey, how did we get to this point where we're doing this video call right now? How did we do it? So then you get to go into their story, really just their background, but ask questions, prompt them, get more, make them go in depth, because their story is what led them to this point. Like all the crossroads, the forks in the path, like which path did they take? Did they take left or right? And what were their defining moments? Hear about what they think is important. And then you can poke and prod like, well, really? So you actually lived in 6 countries growing up? Like, do you feel like that changed you? Is that why you got into sales? Like, there's so many places you can take it. And this gives you an opportunity to actually build trust, likability, credibility, respect with each other. And if you do all those things up front and you guys lower your guard and you have this conversation, now you trust each other. You're not afraid. You're not going to pretend to give the PR answer or the fake answer. You're going to be like, hey, so how's working at this company? Are they respectful of your time? Do they value family? Will they actually respect someone who prioritizes their family and their kid? No, we don't give any maternal or paternal leave. I'm like, wait, what? Yes, I've got people to give me answers like that. It's very real. It's not anymore like, okay, hey, gotta be professional, gotta pretend that I have to say these 7 things, It's a real conversation. And if you don't want that with an employee, then I ask, like, why not? I feel like I'm missing something. Like, if I'm going to work with someone every day, I would want to make sure that our relationship is professional, of course, but to a point where we trust each other, like each other, and respect each other's talent and ability.
and we know what we can do for each other, and we each know our role and our purpose in this professional relationship that helps our business. And hey, I know I'm going to get paid. I know you got my back. I know that we're working together. Let's go. And if for some reason I can't do it, then fire me. And if I crush it, give me a quick path to get promoted, because that's going to keep me motivated. With that said, I do want to say, because that's obviously attacking the hiring managers, the recruiters, all these things. For the employee, for the person who's actually applying, we can always interview it better. We can always write a better resume. But if the industry that you're applying to or targeting is not understaffed currently, or is not having a lack of applications, and instead you're 1 out of 1,000 or more, like I said earlier, there's this huge pool and everyone is in it. And this pool is usually only has 100 people and maybe 10 for your industry, but now there's thousands, and there's more layoffs. I hear that Google is thinking about layoffs, and other big companies, like every big company, Nike, like everyone's doing it. It's just, we're in a recession. The market's not good right now, and people are still getting hired. Absolutely. But it's not just you. I feel like it's really easy to get into the trap of thinking that there's something wrong with you and just go down a really dark path. And I just want people to know that it's not just you. If you had 1,000 girls into you all of a sudden, or girls, if you had 1,000 guys into you all of a sudden, what would you do? Like, you don't know how to properly evaluate it. What's the criteria that matters? What should I be looking for? Am I looking for eye color? Am I looking for height? What kind of heels she wears? If she wears a purse or a backpack? I don't know. Her style, like what? You don't even know where to start. And I understand that employers are going through that right now. Like, they've never had such a position of power. Like, they took back all the power, and man, are they greedy now. Like, some of the things that they ask and require is ridiculous. If I was evaluating 1,000 girls, like, you have to get good at the first date, and the first date is an interview. The dating apps are basically, your resume, your LinkedIn, your Indeed. There's just too many choices out there. You prioritize looks, relationship experience, long-term experience, like if they were married, if they have a kid, if they've raised dogs before, like what do you prioritize? If you do that, if you're looking at all those things, if you care about looks, if you care about, if they like the same music, no one really knows, right? But if you're going to focus on those arbitrary things, that's what you believe determines a good relationship, good hire in this case, it just means that you don't know how to interview. You don't know how to evaluate true talent. You don't know how to evaluate work ethic, if they actually have honesty, if they have good values, if they know how to learn, rather than, they need 12 years of experience and these 7 certification degrees. Like, hey, every single job that I've been hired for, I didn't have the years of experience. I didn't have the degrees. I've never done it before. And I've always become a top rep and brought in my company millions of dollars. If I didn't have someone take a chance on me every single time, I would never even be doing this today. I would never have learned all the things that I've learned. So, like, why are we insistent on exclusively going for the safe on-paper hire? There are going to be a lot of on-paper hires that are incredible. But like I said before, like, you got to be open-minded. Do you guys think that years of experience really matters more? The knowledge, the talent, and the current talent, by the way, because you could be good 10 years ago, but are you the best today? Industries change. For being someone that has always ended up becoming a top sales rep, or top at anything that I focus on, anything that I 100% commit myself to, I become really good at, because I target the things that I know are my strengths and my interests and my passions. For me, I view most sales meetings that I've ever done in my 9-year sales career as conversations and interviews. Truly, I feel like I'm interviewing every single client that I meet, every single prospect. So for me, it's been absolutely shocking to see judgment from certain people, especially, like, my favorite is the just fresh college grad HR girl who's judging me out of ignorance and naivety. And I'm like, hey, I could judge you. I think you're doing great for your first job, but hey, there's a lot of things you could do better. It's okay. You're just starting. They didn't know how to interview. They asked canned questions. They had no enthusiasm. They didn't try to get to know me at all. They show up late. They ghost. They don't reply. They rejected me for a remote role because I wasn't Central Time Zone. They only wanted a remote role that was Central Time Zone, even though they were located in the East Coast. And I'm like, I could wake up an hour earlier. I'm Mountain Time Zone. What's the problem? But it was an executive assistant who's like, nope. They said, look for someone who's Central. So unfortunately, this is the last time we're going to talk because I need someone who's Central. I'm like, wait, what? You didn't even talk to me to see, like, if I know my stuff, if I'm talented, if I'm good, if I'm bad. Like, You're literally rejecting someone who could potentially change your company's trajectory because they're not central. Well, then help me move if you need me to be central. If I'm really that good, I've moved for my medical software sales job from Seattle to Colorado. It's fascinating to see people that can't think for themselves, that can't critical think. And I think that's one of the biggest issues in today's society is that we get just fed so much information and people stop there. Get that information, remember, protect access to you, but pause and critically think about it. Evaluate it. Listen to multiple points of view. Don't just say, okay, hey, I need to ask these questions. They give the girls these 7 questions. Like, ask these 7 questions. Don't let them talk about anything else. And if they're not central, disqualify them. I'm like, what? My theory is that they are looking for people that are submissive and are willing to worship and tolerate their bullshit. Truly is what I would say. And one of the topics that I'm going to talk a lot about is what we tolerate becomes our reality. So you have to be extremely careful about what you tolerate in your life and what you accept, because very quickly that will become your life. And you want to improve your life dramatically very quickly, stop tolerating bullshit and disrespect from anyone. Doesn't matter who it is. This has actually made me realize that I tried not to judge anyone because you don't know anyone. Everyone's circumstances are crazy. Like, I've gone through a lot of terrible things, but I've gone through a lot of amazing things. Why are you judging me? You don't know me. I don't know you. I don't know what you're going through, but I do know enough context. And guess what? You can have theories, you can assume, but you should confirm. Don't just think that your theories are correct. Ask questions. Hey, there's literally people still to this day that are probably trying to come up with theories about what happened 3-4 years ago, or why I did this, or why this happened. I'm like, why don't you just ask me? Let's just talk. You'll get your answer in 2 minutes. I try not to judge anyone because we never know. Especially having lived in 6 different countries growing up, like, you realize at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all the same. We're all going through the same struggles at different times, at different places. We all have to learn. We all have to deal with it ourselves. We're all human. We're all on the same team. Like, why aren't we just working together? Let's just be positive. Let's help each other. Let's teach each other. Let's grow. Let's not let people walk all over us. Stand up for each other. Help each other. It made me realize that I need to start judging the judger. If you're going to judge me, okay, I respect it. I get it. There's a lot of things that I can do better. A lot. I'm not good at 98% of things. But you're judging me in 2% that I know I'm good at. Okay. How about I start judging you? How about we start judging you? Oh, there was a typo and a grammar error on the job posting. You showed up 3 minutes late, lady, to your interview. You ghosted me. You lied about X, Y, Z. You didn't reply when you said you were going to let me know what your decision was. You're really bad at conversations and interviews. We could do all of those things. Why can't the script be flipped? Oh, it's because there's 1,000 people applying to your job, so you think you're the best. And now you think that means that you can have ego and you can judge and you can put down other people. Well, it goes both ways. I think it's time for everyone to start raising their standards, to no longer accept that. I'm like, who do you think you are? I mean, obviously, look, they are counting on people being desperate, that you don't have savings, you don't have money to be able to do that. But stop accepting a terrible job that's going to, like, if the beginning of your employment period before your job starts with them creating a fake environment, creating a game, the interview process is a game rather than being real, and they're judging you over arbitrary things, it says a lot about them, and they're probably really insecure. So that means there's probably going to be micromanagement, there's going to be politics, there's going to be more fake environments at work. People are probably afraid. There's no celebration of curiosity, of learning from your failures and mistakes. Choosing the wrong job can literally destroy your life. I can vouch for that. So why are we not raising our standards? Because we're desperate for money? I feel like when we get rejected from a place that we're only talking to because we're desperate, what's going to end up happening is that our self-esteem lowers, our pride lowers, our ego gets damaged, our confidence lowers. It's not good. I think it's better to sell as many things as you can sell. I think it's better to take a temporary job that can pay, even if it's like driving for Uber, post office, UPS, anything you can do to survive as long as possible, to breathe, to buy yourself time, get the gift of time. But raise your standards. Judge the judger back. Don't choose the wrong job. It'll destroy you. Hiring is broken. It's time to take back control. Just do good. Why do we do what we do? Everything you do. Ask yourself that. Why do I do what I do? Is it for good intentions? Then keep doing it. But choose the right places where you can do good, where you can help other people, where you can help yourself. And the first way of doing that is not destroying your mental health by choosing the wrong place out of desperation. Everyone talks about the seed story or the water bottle. A bottle of water has different value depending on where you buy it, right? If you buy it in the grocery store, buy it at the gas station versus if you buy it at the airport, it's significantly more expensive at each one because you're paying for the convenience, you're paying for the ability to have it somewhere where it's not easy to get. And some seeds, some plants don't grow in certain soil. There's missing sunlight, or there's missing water, or it's just the nutrients in the soil is bad. And you put it somewhere else and it'll flourish. And I think that's very, very real. You know, like there's many work environments where I will not flourish. Well, I'll be suppressed. People will be intimidated. People will judge me. People will not like that I have different perspectives, that I'm like, well, wait, why do we do it this way? And it will lead to politics. It will lead to drama. It will lead to abuse. It will lead to toxicity, insecurity. My seed, my plant won't grow there. But somewhere else, where I have an opportunity to actually learn from other people, learn the industry, grow, use my insight, use my knowledge, use my experience, and celebrate it, and they're willing to explore with me, and I'm willing to explore with them, and there's mutual respect and trust, man, we're going to crush the world together. So I want people to remember, it's not you. Stop beating yourself up. You can always do better at anything and at everything. Oh, you know, I'm just not that good at interviews. Probably true. You can practice. You can get better. But they probably aren't either. They probably aren't either. So don't let them make you think that you are shit. Don't let them make you feel like you are bad or terrible, incompetent, or you should be grateful to even have a job, or be grateful that they even are talking to you. You are better than you think. I promise you, you are much better than you think. And right now, the environment is really weird because there's way too many options. They don't know how to evaluate talent. I wouldn't know how to evaluate talent. And I feel like I'm pretty good at interviewing other people. And still, it's guessing. And now they're afraid for their jobs because their bosses are afraid for theirs because they have to respond to the executives. It's a nasty cycle of fear and fake environments. And I'm looking to fix it by spreading awareness, making people realize that, hey, if we start taking back control and power of the narrative, we stop giving it all to the employers, and the employee takes back power and control, we can start changing things.